Jesse disrespect me by accusing me of kind of like being an escort.
So he paid you to go on a date with him?
Idiota. Y no, chao, se me sacó la piedra. Diciendo what?
Baby, relax.
I don't know why did you have to say that. Fuck you.
I really like her. I want to be with her and I want to build a future with her. But if you want to have a marriage or you want to live together, if there are misunderstandings, I mean, like you can't slap and walk off. And after seeing this, I'm a little nervous about that, to be honest. I'm a little bit more skeptical.
After I was able to breathe and calm down, I know that we really need to talk deep, about this issue, but I don't know how this is going to end because I can be with a man that suggests these kind of things about me.
I think we all need to learn this lesson again and again and again. We're all convinced that we're this perfectly rational person that can just deal with criticism and can deal with a confrontation even when you're upset. You're not. Just take a break, walk away, then you can recognize that you're kind of being unreasonable. Jesse coming over too quickly and saying like, hey, what was that? It wasn't going to go anywhere. You need to get your nervous system to relax. I think the Gottman Institute did research into that once your heart rate reaches around 100, or I think it's 100 or 110, that it's essentially impossible to listen to anyone else. Like you're not listening, you can't hear anything, you need to take a break. Something else that I read in that book, that's Gottman's seven principles for a happy and successful marriage or something like that, is people would wear like Fitbits or something like that. And then once you reached 110 or 100 beats per minute in your heart rate, it would give you an alarm. And that's when the conversation is just done. Like argument's over, go to separate rooms, come back down once it hits 80 or 70 again. But good on Jeniffer that's a pretty low bar, I guess, to reward, huh? Like, oh, congrats for recognizing that you shouldn't hit somebody, but whatever.
That's what you say.
You're insinuating something that actually is very wrong and off, because if you know me a little bit, you know that my heart is at the right place and I really care about you.
I don't know. This is not enough. I need a good, ¿cómo se dice? Disculpa.
Disculpa.
Yes, I need disculpa. I'm sorry from you. Of course, I want to hear and apologize. Not because I'm going to forgive him, but because I want to hear it. I need to hear it. For me, my family, my daughter, and all the women that I stand for.
I said, again,
No, not enough. So I need a good one.
But will you say sorry, though?
No.
Come on, man. Come on, you two. Figure this shit out. Just give me a minute. I'll be okay. I think I'm so annoyed because they're so close. They're so close to being able to figure it out. They're both relatively calm. This is pretty nitpicky, but I guess if he asked, first I want you to apologize for hitting me. In the hierarchy of social values to uphold in a relationship, violence, pretty high up there. So we can just say, hey, I'll apologize to you. I want to understand. I want to work this out. First I need you to apologize for hitting me so we can set the standard. Hitting not okay, and then we can talk about how you feel. It is pretty annoying to deal with Jeniffer, though. I mean, I think I like Jeniffer. Another piece of advice that I just want to throw out there for anybody watching. If you're ever trying to make the argument with your significant other where they are saying that, you don't care about me, you're doing something wrong, and it's because of your intentions, and your defense is, well, if you knew me, you know that I love you, babe. Like, when does that ever work? That might work if it's like, the tiniest infraction. But so many times what they're fundamentally saying, like what Jeniffer is saying here, is I feel disrespected. I feel like you don't like me. I feel like you don't love me when you say these things. In the moments when your partner can view you as if you're the enemy, playing the case of, don't you know that I like you? It's like, no. In that moment, they don't know that you like them. That's the whole point. Generally speaking, before you get to the issue that they're talking about, first you need to make sure everybody feels safe. When you're dealing with people and their traumas, yeah, you got to talk about the issue at hand that caused the kerfuffle to begin with, but it can often benefit you both if you first rebuild a sense of security, trust, some compassion, understanding, remind them that you're on the same side, it's just a misunderstanding. Sometimes you can drive directly into the issue, but I think whenever you're dealing with trauma, which I'm not necessarily saying that this is an example of deep trauma, But when you are around a trauma response or something that just doesn't make sense to you, it's worth it to take a moment to not think about the issue directly. Maybe take a minute to think about what could they have seen, what could they have heard. So that's one piece of advice, is try not to use the "but you know that I like you" right card, because chances are in that moment they don't know that you like them. And the second piece of advice that I see here is if your partner is ever angry, anger is very rarely, if ever, the primary emotion. If your partner is upset with you or angry, people are angry as a response to their feelings. When you get hurt, you feel angry. Or when you're scared, you get angry. You don't just get angry for no reason. But if your partner is angry with you, it's so easy to get into that defensive mindset and want to attack back, defend yourself, well, I did this, but when you did that. But it will really benefit both of you if you didn't attack the anger head on, and instead you look for what could be behind the scene. Address that, oftentimes the anger will go away, and then you can both have a more rational, cool-headed discussion on whatever issue got out of control.
I'll put my pride aside to come over there. Sorry. My heart is at the right place. I have the right intentions, and I would never, ever intentionally hurt you. Okay?
Never treat me like that again. Okay.
All right, baby. Let's go get ready for snorkeling, all right?
Okay.
Okay, but hang on. Okay, everyone has their own relationships, but to me, you've made the apology. You're both feeling a bit better, But what has Jesse learned from this? If I'm Jennifer, I'm probably happy with the apology. I feel a little bit more secure. But if I'm Jennifer in that situation, I'm not convinced that Jesse knows what it is. Don't do that again. Well, what is it exactly that I did? I don't like. What do we think? What do we think Jesse learned from this, other than sometimes she could be irrational or that she can be sensitive? Like, what has he learned? Let me know what you think below. Like, what do you think Jesse took away from this encounter? I'm always just curious as to when you watch a conflict get resolved, what piece of information do they take away from it and internalize and apply for the future? I mean, unfortunately, most of the time it's like nothing. Also, I guess before we get too far away from it, what about the social media posts? This is also a classic example of, you bring something up, causes hurt feelings, and then you fight about something that's unrelated, like I said in my last video. Now we're fighting about a second point. You apologize about that, so you maybe move forward. But what are you going to post social media posts? Like, you didn't really get to the... So I hope that they do get to that eventually. I understand oftentimes in these situations, once you have a bigger fight, just heal from the bigger fight. Maybe that night, be like, now that we've got a little bit of our emotions out, can we talk about the social media posting thing again? Maybe they come at it from a better, more even-headed perspective, but we probably won't see that on camera. That happens a lot, that just, if you're in a relationship that has a lot of chaotic moments, we'll say, of one or both of the people in that relationship tends to get there somewhat quickly, then you may be in the situation where you are often just putting out the fires that come from these secondary arguments, and you may not actually get a lot of time or energy to resolve the primary factors that started the fight. And when that happens, then you never really get to resolve those issues. They can keep coming up. It just adds to the emotional bandwidth of things that you're dealing with in the relationship. But another downside of that is then you can start to breed an air of the relationship that it becomes harder to bring up things that you might care about emotionally. It may be harder to bring up emotionally charged topics or sensitive topics because now you have this fear that this is going to happen more often. They've had one fight, so this is, clearly I'm conceptualizing this to be more broad and just for things to look out for. But some, in my own relationships, I have had that problem where if you have a lot of volatility, you get into this habit of firefighting the emotional outpour, but then you never really get to talk about the feelings that started everything, and those just build up over time. You feel like you can't really express yourself fully in a completely safe way, and the relationship suffers from that. Anyway, am I done projecting? Jesus. So this couple's not that bad. I just see so many examples of things that could be relevant, small little things. Anyway, let's get back to the show.
We make mistakes, we do dumb shit, and then hey, like I really fucked up here. But the fact that you can do that is very powerful. But I think also that's also what I like about her, because I like I say this also jokingly, like if you want to hit me, do it in the bedroom. Like I like that fire there. Then, yeah.
In the moment, it felt really difficult, but Jesse and I shared this beautiful, strong connection. So we could get through this, and now we just hope that there's nothing else to ruin our last days together.
Okay, last thing I'll say about that. You didn't solve the core issue. I don't have a huge amount of faith that they really figured out exactly how to improve on this in the future. And it seems like both of them suggest that the reason this is so manageable is because of their passion for each other. Okay. So what happens when that passion leaves? If it's just the honeymoon phase, that's going to end pretty soon. They're on vacation with each other. What happens when they go back home and they're not around each other? But also, if you're living together and you're cohabitating or whatever, then over time, you're just not going to have that same passion. So again, not a huge thing. I don't need to speculate onto the entire future of their relationship, but just something to be looking out for.